Hi Pre-Calculus. Welcome to our lesson that involves solving with inverse trig equations. We're going to wrap everything up here, tie it together. All right, so the first thing I notice, I'm going to solve this equation. Solve means get the variable x alone. Is there any baby algebra you can do to get x alone? Okay, you can't take the x away from the sign inverse. That is the of a function. But what we can do is divide both sides of the equation by a 3. And now we have sine inverse of x equals pi over 3. Okay? What we have here is an inverse. So this problem is backwards. It's backwards. That's the inverse. What I'm going to do, okay, I'm going to write this forwards. I'm going to write this as just a regular sine. Sine of, I'm going to switch and put the angle in there, and it equals to x. Oh, well, this problem just got very easy. All I have to do is evaluate the sine of pi over 3. The pi over 3 is the tall family. The sine value is radical 3 over 2, and that equals my x. Once again, we're going to be evaluating with the unit circle. We might have to do a little bit of baby algebra, and we might have to switch the problem from inverse trig to forwards trig. Okay, let's do it again. I'm going to divide both sides by 4, and that gives me cosine inverse of x equals 3 pi over 4. Okay, that would be backwards, or the inverse problem. What I'm going to do is write cosine of 3 pi over 4 equals x. Okay, so when you do that, you switch, of course, and you put the angle into the trig function, and then that is the value. All I have to do now is go to 3 pi over 4, tell you that the cosine there is negative radical 2 over 2 equals to x, and I've solved for x. Okay, so the idea when you're solving these, okay, has a couple of steps. Number 1, baby algebra. Is there anything you can do to divide both sides or collect like terms? Okay, you do as much algebra as you can until you get stuck. Okay, then the second thing you do is you switch from the inverse, okay, or the backwards way of writing it to the forwards way. Okay, so you go from an inverse problem to a regular trig problem. Number 3, okay, we evaluate with that unit circle, okay, slash solve for x. Okay, and those are going to be the steps that we take for the following. All right, let's look at number 3. 4 tan inverse of x plus pi over 2 equals pi. I'm trying to get x alone, okay, but I notice there's a couple other terms. I'm going to collect all these pi's, okay, on the right-hand side. I'm going to subtract 2 pi, subtract 2 pi. If you write it one time, you have to write it 2 times. If you just want to move it over in your mind, then write it 0 times, okay? 4 tan inverse of x equals negative pi. Okay, so I'm still doing baby algebra. I'm then going to divide both sides by 4. So I have tan inverse of x equals negative pi over 4. That's an inverse. I think what I'll do is write it as a regular tangent. I'm going to switch. Tangent of negative pi over 4 equals x. So x is equal to what value? What value? X is equal to, if you swing down, negative 1. Solving for x with the unit circle. Number 4, baby algebra. Can you divide by 4? The answer is no. Okay, that's the of. You have to leave the of alone. I can divide both sides by just a plain 2. So that gives us sine inverse of 4x equals pi over 2. This kind of reminds me of log problems. You can't mess with the of. He's stuck in the of an inverse. Okay. I did all the baby algebra that I could, but what I could do is switch this from an inverse problem to a sine problem, and that equals 4x. Okay. Step 3 would be to evaluate. I'm going to evaluate sine of pi over 2, and what does that give us? That gives us 1 equals 4x. The difference with this problem, here I stopped, I was done, but this isn't x equals yet. So evaluate slash, you might have to keep solving. I have to divide both sides by 4, and x is equal to 1/4. Okay, so we're putting some of those solving skills in combination with your unit circle knowledge to solve problems. Okay, we got a couple more. They might look scary, but notice here there's a lot of like terms. Okay, this is tan inverse of 2x, and this is tan inverse of 2x. You could only combine these if they were like terms, and they are. They're the same trig function inverse of the same thing. Okay, they got to be like. So what I'm going to do here on both sides, I'm going to subtract 4 tan inverse of 2x. He kind of goes all together. Okay, I'm going to subtract that from the right, and I'm going to subtract that from the left. Okay, so 5 minus 4 gives us 1 tan inverse of 2x. Okay, maybe I'll write the rest of it down because it's getting kind of squishy here. You sometimes can do, a couple of steps all at once. The next thing I'm going to do is put these angles together on the right. Okay, so let's go ahead and subtract 8 pi over 4. I wonder why they wrote it like that, 8 over 4. They could have written 2 pi, right? Oh, I see why they did that. They were helping us. They gave us common denominators. Oh, they're so nice. You're welcome. Tan inverse of 2x. 7 minus 8 is negative pi over 4. Well, this problem looks very similar to one of those little guys that we had up at the top. Okay, tan inverse. This is all the algebra I can do. I moved things left and right. I can't divide by 2. So what I will do is write this problem forwards. I will write tangent of, okay, put the angle there, negative pi over 4 equals 2x. So I need you to go to negative pi over 4. I need you to swing down, okay, the pi over 4 family. And the tangent value there is negative 1. Negative 1 equals 2x. Be super careful here. Sometimes people don't show the work. They make one little mistake at the very end. To get excellent, I divide by 2. So the answer is negative 1/2. Okay, sometimes people mess up and say 2. Okay, I've got one more for you. Okay. Solving. I've got cosine inverse. Cosine inverse, good, matches. They have to match, okay? The ofs are the same. It looks like I have one angle, so I'm going to rearrange a little bit. Okay, I'm going to put all the cosine inverse on the left. I'm going to subtract 2 of them. That would give me 2 cosine inverse of x over 3. All right, let's go ahead and move this angle over here to the right. Move it over there to the right. Okay, is there any more baby algebra we can do? Yeah, we can divide both sides by 2. Divide by 2. Cosine inverse of x over 3 is equal to pi. Okay, any more algebra? No. Okay, what do you do when you're at the point where you can't do any algebra? You switch it to a forwards cosine. Cosine of, okay, and you switch these. You put the angle in here. You put the value over here. Okay, now I have to ask you, what is cosine of pi? Negative 1 equals x over 3. The final step would be to multiply both sides by 3, and x is equal to negative 3. Okay, I can solve a trigonometric inverse equation. I sure hope you can, pre-calc.